Hey there, kiddos. Meteorologist Jamey Singleton here. It is Monday, and I'm watching the system that we've been looking at since last week. It's a very weak system, but it's going to be coming through tomorrow morning. Now, listen. It's a potent system. It's not a big system, but for a few hours it will produce precipitation at a fairly good rate, and the form of that precipitation is now going to be a problem, especially for areas in Southside. I think north of Roanoke we're okay, but there's going to be some sleet and rain trying to get into the picture as the models have been trending warmer and warmer, and they're cutting off that southern edge of the snowfall accumulation forecast now for places like Franklin County and Henry County, where we didn't think a lot was going to happen anyway, but it's getting closer to Roanoke, that warmer air. So let me show you what's going on right now. Not a big system. You can see part of the energy here coming out of Kansas and Nebraska. This is going to come down through Texas, and in Arkansas we've already got a bit of a surface low developing. So I did want to kind of show you that this is not a traditional Gulf of Mexico storm. It's trying to dig, but it's not going to dig that far. So it's not going to have a ton of moisture with it, but this is the Penn State water vapor, and you can see clearly there's a little bit of a disturbance there. So we're watching that for you very carefully. Let me show you the Weather Prediction Center's surface map here, just to give you a starting point here. So this is where we're at. The surface analysis right now, and you can see that the high pressure is in control today. There is the surface low starting to develop in Arkansas, and then as we go through the night tonight, you'll start to see it get more precipitation involved. Not a lot. Again, it's a fairly small system, but it does begin to generate its own moisture. And you've got a hole here where Blacksburg hasn't put their forecast in yet, but you can see the wintry weather moving into Virginia in the morning, and then moving off to the coast here by the evening. So let's look at some of the model data. This is the Euro as of last night, and it's actually pretty optimistic compared to some of the other ones, but you can see how it's picking up on the lower amounts here. It's got 2.2 for Roanoke, 2.7 inches for Blacksburg, 2.8 in Pulaski. But look at Martinsville and Danville, nothing. And then you really don't get much here in Franklin County and into Campbell County and Appomattox as well. So it's because we think probably we're going to see more freezing rain and sleet mix in, or not freezing rain, but probably some sleet and just plain old rain mixed in with this. If I put up the actual precipitation type, you can get an idea of how fast this thing moves through. This is tonight, and then as we go into mid-morning tomorrow, so this would be 10 a.m. You can see we've got pretty good snow in West Virginia now. Everything was a little bit farther south about 24 hours ago, but everything's trending a little farther north. It's not good news for snow lovers, because sleet takes away your snowfall accumulations just like that. And we've got that in the orange there. So you can see some sleet mixing in here, Floyd County and the Franklin County. And it's all because we've got a fairly impressive low-level jet at about 5,000 feet that'll be blowing in this warmer air. But as I advance this past 10 a.m. and then we go, it's slowing down a little bit too, so that allows the surface temperatures to get warmer. But as 18Z, which is 1 p.m., it's snowing pretty good here across the highlands, and I do think the Greenbrier Valley of West Virginia, most of West Virginia here is going to get a good snow out of this, and we're talking amounts 3 to 6 inches probably in this area. Rockbridge County, Stanton, in this area, Waynesboro, as you go through Fishersville, and then you get across Nelson County, Amherst County, even northern Bedford County around Big Island there, and looks like Botetourt County, you're safely in the snow. But New River Valley and even the Roanoke Valley, now looks like we could see some sleet take away some of those snow totals. So we may be very much at the bottom of the range that I put out last night. That's why I put a big range out, 1 to 4. I still think Roanoke could get about an inch, maybe 2. But I don't know if you're going to get up to that 4-inch amount if you see that sleet coming in. You won't. You'll see amounts that are very pitiful. But as you go a little bit farther north out of the Roanoke Valley, basically north of 460, and we do use that a lot because it tends to be where these systems like to go, and where the line tends to set up there in the darker blue. That's where you're going to see the heavier snow. South of there, though, we're going to have a mix trying to come in. And you can see that Richmond has to battle with this as well. But Northern Virginia, the Shenandoah Valley, safely in the snow here. And that's where it looks like we'll get some better amounts. This is the Icon model. I just want to show you these different models. That's got a bit of a southern colder track here, but I'm looking at maybe the newer data coming in soon, and hopefully I'll be able to update that for you. But you can see amounts around 3 inches in most of the area if you believe that model. The GFS, this is the 6Z. I'm going to see if I can get, well, let's look at the 6Z for a second. Again, the line is very close to where the Euro had that line, and we've got amounts at 3.7 in Roanoke because it keeps it a little bit colder. The 6Z tends to be colder for some reason. We'll see. I'll put the 12Z up in a second. But I do want to point out, you see a south side here, nothing. And then as you move through the NRV, the I-81 corridor, once you get past Christiansburg is where we start to see the snow sticking. Now the ground is fairly warm, but the snow will be coming down at a pretty good rate on and off. I want to show you why it's going to mix probably in south side. This is the 850 dew point in the wind vector. So the bigger the arrows, the stronger the wind. You can see the dry air in place. And then as we go through the night tonight, look at those longer arrows. This is wind at 40 knots. So it's about 45 miles per hour coming in out of the south. So that tends to bring in sleet into the picture. It's a bit of what we call a warm nose getting involved into the system. It's in and out in a hurry. By 1 p.m. we've got winds out of the west, and that's going to cut off the precipitation and move it into central Virginia. So this will be something that starts about 7 o'clock in the morning, and then by 10 or 11 o'clock it starts, well, let's put it a little bit later. About noon, it's going to start to wind down because it's coming in a little bit slower. But once it gets here, you're still only going to have about 1 to 3 hours of either snow or south of 460, you're going to have more of a sleet, snow, rain mix probably. And it's going to be hard to get accumulations like that if you get into the mix. But if you stay all snow, and I think, again, that's going to be north of 460, you're going to be okay. I'll put up the 850 temperatures. We look at this a lot to determine the rain-snow line, and that line is right here between the light blue and the light green. It's highlighted in white. I don't know if you can see that, but as we go through, let's see, Tuesday morning, you can see all the dynamics going on here. We got a big temperature gradient. We're safely in the snow here across the Allegheny Highlands, but again, this is the line right through there that we're worried about. That's the warmer air trying to come in and change everything. Once you melt a snowflake aloft, that's why you get sleet. And then it's out of here again by about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and probably some gusty winds behind this coming out. That may be a big story too for tomorrow night going into early Wednesday. This is the Weather Prediction Center's kind of their idea of what's going on, and this looks reasonable. They've still got about 1 inch in Martinsville, 1.6 in Lynchburg, and 2.2 in Roanoke. And you can see here across the Highlands amounts totaling over 4 inches here across the Greenbrier Valley into West Virginia there. So that's looking pretty good. Again, that same scenario, and this is lines right up. Let's see, this is the Canadian model. And again, they're all very similar here. So we've got very good model agreement in keeping the heavier snow basically along and north of 460. Now this is a blend. It's a fuzzy blend of all the models, but I get access to it. Basically, this is all the models put together, and it makes this funky looking map here. But it's got Lynchburg hardly getting anything, and then Southside hardly getting anything, but the big bullseye would be there across, again, the Greenbrier Valley, Allegheny Highlands, Covington, Bath County, that area. I've got a blend here from the Schreff. This tends to be very, very accurate. This one is one I go by a lot. Look how low these numbers are, 1/2 inch, 0.2. This is basically just a coating. So again, it would be at the bottom of my forecast range. Coming up. This is the new 12Z high-res NAM. Again, we've got maybe 1/2 inch in Lynchburg, and Roanoke maybe not getting anything in the city, but surrounding areas maybe getting a little bit of a coating. But the big snowfall is now north into West Virginia. So you can see the effect of that warmer air coming in to the south. You can see that the mountain tops still get a little bit of accumulation, but down in the valleys, warmer ground and that mix is just going to kill any accumulation. So it's a quick hitter. That's going to limit how much we can get. We've got the warm nose coming in aloft. That's also going to limit how much we get. Those are the bad things. The good thing is we do have some cold air in place. We do have impressive dynamics for a short amount of time. So even though we're limited on time and temperature, we do have about 2 to 4 hours where it's going to be snowing pretty hard. And sometimes that lift can cool the atmosphere a little bit more. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in Roanoke and Lynchburg and Blacksburg, the big areas, in the area that I forecast for. It's going to be farther north, though. I think you're going to see a warmer trend. I hate to say that, moving in. This is the regular NAM, the 12-kilometer one, and this is the new 12Z data off that. Let me see. What else do I have here for you? Blacksburg has Roanoke at 1 inch, Lynchburg less than 1 inch. This is the National Weather Service forecast. This may change up and down, but you can see everyone gets about 1 to 3 based on that. But again, if I had to adjust my forecast, I think I would lower the amounts in Roanoke and Lynchburg down to my lower range, that may be a coating to 1 inch, and then once you get north of 460, that's where we're going to see amounts totaling several inches because of the snow coming in. So let me show you the advisories that are up. The National Weather Service has a winter weather advisory for 1 to 3 inches of sleet and snow. I think that's a good call. I think the amounts in Lewisburg will be higher. I think you're going to get more than 1 to 3 in Lewisburg, and I think you're going to get closer to 4 in Allegheny County and in the Bath County. Now, Roanoke is going to be closer to 1. You're going to be closer to just a coating. You may be closer to a coating in Blacksburg, too. Some areas in the NRV may get 1 or 2 inches. You get closer to Bluefield, Giles County, I think you're going to be closer to 3 or 4. I think it's right near West Virginia and in the highlands and the highest elevations where you're going to see more of that. So I do think the mountaintops here will get more than 4 inches, Patrick. So we'll see how that goes. But again, this is the warm nose I was talking about. Let me show you the UK Met real quick. And again, they have that warm nose getting up around Smith Mountain Lake and areas into central Virginia. But you see the bullseye. Clearly see that bullseye there in purple, where we're going to get a little bit more. So let me put up something here. Here we go. Let me refresh and see if I can't get the 12Z GFS. It should be coming in as we speak. And there it is. Let's see if I have any data coming in. I don't think it's going out too far. There we go. So this is hot off the presses. This is the 12Z GFS, and it's painting a good picture for Roanoke. The resolution isn't great compared to some of the other models, but it's there. 3.5 for Blacksburg, 2.8 in Pulaski and Radford, and 1.4 in Lynchburg. Franklin County and Rocky Mount, we're going to be right on the edge of either snow or that mix, that ugly rain and sleet and occasional snowflakes coming in from the south. So it looks like it's going to get right up around I-81 if you take this, and as gospel, basically. And you never do that with a model. It's guidance. But I do think lower amounts south of 460 and these higher amounts, yeah, I can go with that. I think 4 to 5, probably in the Greenbrier Valley. I think Stanton's going to get a good snow out of this. I think Nelson County, wintergreen as you go up in central Virginia. I don't know about Richmond. I think areas north of Richmond are going to get this. And that snow will continue up around D.C., getting into Winchester. And I don't think they're calling for much there yet, but I do think it's going to be closer to 3 or 4, even up into northern Virginia, because it's a hard-hitting system. It's just not lasting that long. But, it's got good dynamics with it. If I put up the vorticity, this is the upper level around 18,000 feet. And look at all this energy coming in. This is spin that digs down, and you can see how energetic the system is. So as this comes in, it is going to be potent, but it's coming in a little further north, and that's pulling the warmer air a little bit further north. Yeah, George, Roanoke, he says, screwed again like always. Yeah, Roanoke is always right on the line, and there's a chance Roanoke could stay mostly snow with this. I think once you get south of Roanoke, though, I don't know about the city. I think maybe North County, as they call it, Hollins may be okay as far as snow. But once you get down toward Cave Spring and you get closer to Clearbrook, you're going to get closer to that sleet. And that's the same story in Franklin County and Floyd County, unfortunately, in Galax. I'm worried about your accumulations being kind of low too. So we'll have to watch that warm nose. South Boston, it's looking more like, let's see, that's Candace wanting to know about South Boston. It is looking more like just a mix, maybe a coating, but probably just some rain and wet snowflakes mixed in with a little bit of sleet. Kind of a slushy thing there. I'm not too worried about that. I think Roanoke is okay. If you want to see some snow, you're going to see some snow. I don't know if it'll stick all that much, but I think it will at least coat the ground with a snow, probably snow sleet mix at times. Winter weather advisories again are up, so the Weather Service is confident on at least some impacts from this. The higher end of bounce would be closer to 4 inches if we could get rid of the warm air coming in, and you can do that if you lift the air enough. And I'll show you the vertical motion here at 700 millibars. If you lift the air, it will cool. So if you lift it enough, which you can do, I don't know if you've ever been in the storm before where you've seen snow change to sleet and then back to snow again suddenly. That's because the lift is temporarily cooling the column of air above you to allow for all below freezing temperatures. And then as that lift goes away, it warms back up, and you go back to sleet and rain. But you can see the lift here. This is what we look at, vertical motion. And there's a lot of vertical motion coming into Bristol and far southwest Virginia, Wytheville. This is at 7 o'clock in the morning. And then as you go into mid-morning, most of the vertical motion is up across the places that are going to get the most snow, which makes sense. We do have some vertical motion down here across Roanoke and Southside. That tends to, again, cool the air, but you really need it in those reds and purples to get it really cold and fight that warmer air coming in. And you see all these grays right over the mountains here? That's what I use when I forecast high wind. So we'll have a high wind event more than likely coming up behind this system for Tuesday night going into Wednesday. Wednesday looks like a very windy day, and we'll probably once again see gusting up to 40 miles per hour and a few power outages coming up Tuesday night and Wednesday. All right, so that's the way it's looking. Let's see if the RAP has anything for me. This is the rapid update cycle. It goes out, this particular one goes out 39 hours. So yeah, we're going to look at this live and see. It tends to be a warmer model. Of all the models, it's always a little bit too warm. Nevertheless, it's rapidly updating, so we get some new information coming in here. So we've got high pressure control today, and I'm watching this live for the first time, so we're analyzing it live here. So as we go into 11Z Tuesday, we've got our first, look at all the warm air. This is just rain, according to the RAP, coming into Bristol and Gatlinburg and far southwest North Carolina, the mountains of North Carolina. Then it runs into the cold air and changes over the snow. And if you go by the RAP here, look at that heavy snow in West Virginia. And also the NRV here, all the way down to Galax, getting a pretty good snow for 1 or 2 hours. You can see that's a fast mover. And then we start to see the sleet mixing in. And again, it's bringing it all the way into Botetourt County here, this model, Craig County and Giles County. But heavy snow from Highland County down to Bath County, Augusta County, into Rockbridge County, northern Botetourt County, Amherst County, and Nelson County. Very heavy snow. And then you've got rain in the south side. You can see Martinsville, Danville, South Boston, Charlotte Courthouse. It's raining. According to this model, Lynchburg's all rain. And it brings it all the way through Franklin County, the rain snow line, past Roanoke. But it keeps this pocket of snow here from Stanton. And this will be a wet, clumpy snow. So it's going to weigh down on the trees big time, but it's not going to be up around the foot. It'll be more like 4 or 5 inches. It'll be pretty snow, but it will be very wet and clumpy. And you can see that rain snow line right up against the Shenandoah Valley and right up against, let's see, again, I mentioned this. I think Montgomery County and Christiansburg, you're going to see some mix, and that'll lower your totals. But once you get into Giles County, hit up 460 closer to Bluefield, and it's going to be all snow. and then it's out of here. This is 1 p.m. After 1 or 2 o'clock, it's out of here. It'll linger a little bit longer closer as you go up I-81. It'll linger a little bit more. You'll have some wraparound too. And then it goes out across DC. DC could get some accumulation out of this, 1 or 2 inches, maybe more in a few spots. So that's your update for right now. I'm going to go and analyze some more, get all this 12Z data in, and look at things. But it is looking warmer, unfortunately. You can see where all the lines are on the models here, and you can pick out again Roanoke right here. It's not looking too good. North of Roanoke, hey, if you're in the Highlands, and if you're in, let's see, even Rockbridge County, Lexington, Buena Vista, you're in a good area for snow. I think Pearisburg's okay for snow. Anybody in West Virginia is probably looking good. North Carolina, not so much. South Side, not so much. Roanoke and Lynchburg, it's going to be iffy. I'm not going to lie, it's going to be very iffy. And then as you go north, it'll be a little bit better. All right, so that sleet's going to try to mix in, and the rain's even going to try to mix in at times in the morning. By this time tomorrow, it's 11:24. We'll be watching the back edge move through. It'll be very quick hitter. So I'm not too concerned about roads, but if it comes down hard enough, things can get slick. And again, it'll start probably 6 or 7 in the morning, if not sooner, in the mountains, and it continues for about 5 hours or so. So that's your update for right now. Meteorologist Jamey Singleton. Stay safe out there, and more updates to come.